This is Primetime Sports, WGNS Murfreesboro on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and streaming at WGNSSports.com. The Prentice Allsup Heating and Air Coaches Corner, fueled by Donut Country and McDonald's Murfreesboro on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and streaming at WGNSSports.com.
And this portion of the show brought to you by the law offices of John Day, providing superior legal representation to injury victims and their families. Find out more at johndaylegal.com. Coach Kevin Creasy joins me, the head coach of the Oakland Patriots. And last night I had a visitor in our booth. We were doing Rockville Siegel, and Kevin Wright came by to say hi.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The voice of the Patriots.
The golden voice of the Patriots, that's for sure. Yep. Coach, it was everything we expected against in an Oakland Riverdale game. 36-21, you come out victorious, but it wasn't easy, was it? It was a great game.
It was a great game from the very start. Saw some rain in the forecast, and real pleased that they got the turf field over there. And I'm telling you, their community did a great job of back in their football program, and seeing that there was a need for turf over there. They were like us. They got everybody on their side of town, using that field, and it could have been a real slop fest if it was natural surface. And we've been there, trust me. We were there, in 2018 at our place hosting Maryville with, mud and dirt, and grass is already dead, and water, just pouring down crazy. So, the rain was a factor a little bit, but like we said all along, both teams had to play in it. I think it was a pretty even match throughout. The score wasn't indicative of how close the game was. It very easily could have been 22-21 game or 21-20 game. But ultimately, it was their running back made one huge run right up the middle, and our running back made two huge runs. And, our snapper snapped one over our punter's head that cost us. Their snapper snapped one over their punter's head that cost us. Our quarterback threw a great pass, and our receiver made a great catch. Their quarterback threw a great pass, and their receiver made a tremendous catch. So it was back and forth, the whole night. And, both teams played hard. And, I think that's the way it's supposed to be. The Battle of the Boroughs is supposed to be just like that, and back and forth. And maybe we just made one more play.
What their intentions, I would assume, was to try to stop the run. And they did do that. For the Riverdale's defense, it's really tough, and you know that, and I know it. But you made the decision to put Tut in, and I call him King Tut, but he sure was the king Thursday night. The run, one of the most spectacular runs I've seen in a long time. Plus, a lot of people forget he's playing both sides of the ball, so he's playing defense too. And that one move, I think, really helped. Not that Morris wasn't playing well. Morris was taking the hard yards. I mean, he was getting hit, but he scored on a run. I don't want to disregard him at all, but boy, it's so nice to be able to have another alternative in there for the outside too, the outside run game too.
Oh yeah. Tut is a tremendous athlete. Really supposed to be a sophomore.
Yeah.
Last year as a sophomore, he started every game for us on defense and played a little offense. But, for him to start as a sophomore last year just tells you how good he is, and he was supposed to be a freshman. He's just the youngest guy in the class. And so one day some college is going to really get a tremendous player that's, a grade ahead. And he does a great job for us, offense, defense. And then on special teams, he had a tremendous return on a kick. A punt return put us in great field position, and like I said, that it was one of those games where you better make plays in all three areas. Special teams, offense, defense, and Tut being on the field, sucker never came off. Once we put him in, he was the hot hand for sure. Had an injury with TT heel the week before. TT had surgery the day of the game, and so he's out for a while. But it just means somebody else has got to step up and touch that guy. And, he had to learn a whole lot more offense than what he's had to, learn all year. And Coach Watson over there with his defensive plan, we had to borrow a couple more of his defensive players. Avery Hainsworth was out this past week, and hopefully he'll be back for the playoffs. But, Caleb Ellison, jumped on the offensive side and hadn't played that since his freshman year and did a heck of a job for us. And, it was just one of those deals where, I thought the defense played great for us. I thought our defense, any scores that we did have, I thought the defense put us, in position to score. And a couple times they put us in position and we didn't score. So I thought it was one of those games where a sloppy night like that, you definitely got to lean on your defense, and we did that. And, I thought Coach Watson did a great job of getting them ready. And next thing you know, our defense is playing lights out and helping us win a region championship.
I don't know if people really understand how many injuries you've had, and I want to get back to the game in a second, but, man, you have been nursing them all through this, and it's not only a great coaching job, but it's difficult when you don't know who's going to be available for week from week, but you really battled it. There's been several, and starting with Morris at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, Morris, we're still wondering if he's exactly 100%, but, he got hurt first play of the game, week 1, and then, of course, Quentin Norfolk. I mean, people forget about him. He was our tight end that was just waylaying people, playing physical, and good D lineman for us. Of course, he's been hurt all year. We've lost a lot of good players, some for extended periods of time. Cullen Williams, he's one of our best linebackers. He was out, Friday night. So it's just that time of year. It's that time of year, and it happens in football. Sometimes you can go 15 weeks and not have a significant injury, and then sometimes you can have a bunch of injuries. And, Riverdale had one of their best defensive players. He didn't dress out. So, it's happening on both sides, and it's part of football. That's what you got to look at. It's part of football. You try to keep them as healthy as you can, and but it's part of it. And, that's why you always got to have that next guy up and ready.
I know you had got the score to 21-20, and you were deciding to kick an extra point. There was a penalty. You got the ball up closer. Did that decision come immediately right after the penalty and said, okay, let's go for it, boys?
Yeah, it did. And, it's one of those deals where run behind your seniors. 10 years ago, we were in the same position at Maryville, and we're like, you know what? We're going to run behind our seniors, and we're going to kick out, block down, kick out with our seniors. We're even going to stop block with a senior. We're going to hand it to a senior. And if we can't get 1.5 yards, then we don't deserve to win. Well, 10 years ago, we didn't win. And, the other night, we barely got it, barely got it. I was impressed with, how DeWine extended the ball out. He came to the sideline, and I was like, man, that was a great job extending that ball. And he's like, yeah, Coach, we went over that where I can extend it on 4th downs or 2-point conversions. I was like, how in the world did he remember that? And so.
Isn't that crazy how they remember things you don't think they do?
Well, he probably remembers it because somebody extended a football out on 1st and goal, and we fumbled out of the back of the end zone.
Okay.
And so it was a tough lesson that day. But, like I said, he's a senior, so put it in his hands and then let those older guys block and see what happens. And sometimes it works out and you look smart. Sometimes it doesn't work out and you look crazy. And going forward on 4th down on your own 30-yard line, that's pretty crazy too. And it worked out for us in that same type of situation. If it doesn't work out in the playoffs, that means it's your season and it's over. So you definitely got some pros and cons to being aggressive, but at the same time it can fall back in your face and not work out.
Yeah, and going into overtime in that kind of weather conditions too. I mean, all of those kind of things, I guess you take under consideration, don't you?
Oh yeah. And like I said, it's kind of a thing where it's not on a call sheet. It's a gut feeling. Sometimes it's momentum, but
it's not analytics.
Ultimately, it wasn't analytics. Analytics said punt, but in my head, I was like, I'm not stabbing another wet ball over the punter's head, And we were having some we were having some issues with the wet ball. And, you know, here's the crazy thing. People don't even realize our ball boys all got promoted up to varsity. You know, they're our freshmen, and 3 of them got promoted up. So, you know, they're dressed out. And so we got the JV ball boys in. You know, we got some guys that graduated a couple years ago, you know, probably wanted in the game free. And next thing you know, they're not doing it exactly how I want it. And, so both times on incomplete passes, instead of getting a dry ball in, our poor long snapper had to snap wet balls. And, you know, that's about the only time you get recognized as a long snapper is when you're snapping it bad. But you know, he's been doing good all year long. So I'll blame it on some ball boys. And luckily, in the fourth quarter, a guy who's been on my sideline for 20 years, I got Jackie Dillahay, my father-in-law. I was like, you're in charge of all footballs. You know what I'm saying? That way I can trust that it's going to be done right. So, you know, it made the snaps a whole lot better. But like I said, you know, little details like that, you know, all my fault for, you know, not working on it with the ball boys. And, you know, like I said, the poor long snappers, you know, taking the brunt of all the criticism, but ultimately the guys out there snapping a wet ball after we throw an incomplete pass on 3rd and long.
That was a great story. I wasn't expecting it from you today.
It wouldn't be too great if we snapped a 3rd one over his head.
I want to mention a couple of guys. Chase Bandy, 36-yard touchdown reception, and, of course, he had an interception too. He plays great defense. Again, another guy playing both ways and making great contributions, and Chase has done that all year. Yes,
Chase has stepped up, and, you know, he leads our team in interceptions. He leads our team in receptions, and made a great play, made a great catch, and, you know, real impressed with him.
Kyler, okay, I know it's father-son, but I'm telling you, he had 2 rushing touchdowns. What speed he's got! He really showed it the other night.
Yeah. I think we were breaking some tendencies, you know, and ran right up the middle for about 3 inches, and another time he ran up the middle for about 5 inches. So, yeah, he had some tremendous runs. But the biggest part of his game was, you know, he pulled it down and scrambled for some yards a couple times. I thought that was big time. I thought they did a good job with covering our guys and staying on top of our guys. And, you know, next thing you know, he's got to pull it down, make some plays with his legs. And, you know, one time we're out there punting and we got 10 on the field, and he's smart enough to run out there, and he played, I think it was left tackle on the punt team.
Wow. So, I mean, those are little things like that, you know, like – but
he blocked real well.
Yeah.
He did a good job of blocking on that. So, ultimately, that dude just wanted to win the ball game. Yeah. And that's what you got to be most proud of, is your quarterback just wanting to will a win, you know, and not doing, you know, something crazy and out of the ordinary, you know, something we've never asked him to do, but just going out there and, you know, trying to do his part. And, you know, some of his best passes the other night were balls that he threw away.
Yeah.
You know, there was a lot of times where he could have thrown into double coverage. I thought they did a great job of covering some of our best receivers, and you know, he could have taken sacks, he could have thrown picks, but like I said, some of his best decisions were throwing it up in the stands to his mom.
But that kid's not worried about his stats. He's just worried about winning ball games.
He's worried about one stat, and that's the W.
Yeah.
He's worried about one trophy, and that's ultimately the last one they give out at the end of the year. We got a long time before we even think about getting there, but we got a huge opponent ahead of us. Lebanon, seems like we run into them every year. They know everything that we do, and so we've got our work cut out for us. And I don't even know who we're looking at playing in the second round, because I know that we better get everybody's attention on Lebanon, because one of the best coaches I know is Chuck Gentry, and he's Lebanon's head coach, and he's got a great staff. And they've been through some tough times, but here at the end they found an identity, and they're a physical football team, and they'll come right at you, and, you know, they're not going to be out-coached, that's for sure.
Well, Coach, good luck next week, and we didn't even get to talk about last week, but about next week, but, you know, one game at a time. Isn't that right?
Everybody's 0-0.
0-0.
You better win, or you're putting your stuff up.
That's Coach Kevin Creasy, the head coach of the Oakland Patriots. We've got more to come, but first we want to tell you this portion of the show has been brought to you by Middle Tennessee Electric, serving our community by providing affordable, reliable, and safe electricity. Online at mte.com. Up next, Stewart's Creek.
The Blue Raider fan source for officially licensed Middle Tennessee gear is Raider Tees. T-shirts, caps,